The ghost light, a single bulb left center stage after each performance, has traditionally served as a supernatural offering to those who came before us and those we have lost, to ensure that the theater, their theater, never goes dark.
That the magic of theater continues. Theaters from Broadway to the West End, Los Angeles to Savannah may be closed for now, but their ghost lights remain lit.
Our spirits remain hungry, our responsibilities clear. We look at this as an opportunity, a chance to build on the work we've done.
A chance to embrace our theatrical roots and create new adventures.
What we do now paves the way for the years to come, for the Savannah rep of the future.
We promise that the ghost light will burn brightly until it is safe to begin again.
It is our responsibility to carry on the traditions that precede us. We are Savannah Rep.
A home for great stories and great theater. The hands of the clock will move again, and this is not the end of the story.
It's a new beginning.
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 And we'll see you soon.
Friday, 5 p.m. Did I plan this monologue today? I did not. Did I do my hair? I did. Am I wearing the blue shirt? Yes. For those of you paying attention, some eagle-eyed viewers noticed last episode that not only was I wearing this shirt on all the episodes of OnStageOff, but I'm also wearing it in Chris Bass's online show. I've been wearing it in every Zoom interview I've done since March. Yes, this shirt is being washed. No, it's not the only one I own. Yes, it's the only one I wear when I'm on Zoom. Hi, welcome to OnStageOff. For those of you that joined us last week, we had a real blast talking to Michael Cerveris, some wonderful, wonderful guests. Michael went 20 minutes longer than I was expecting, so we gave you a 90-minute show. These are the things that happen when we're all sitting around having fun, having a conversation. I don't want to waste any time today because I'm very excited about my first guest. My first guest is an actor, musician, a creator, an incredibly creative human. I have this picture of my first guest playing on this cajon with Paul Whitty. This is from the musical Once. I also have this picture of my next guest singing very, very dramatic. This photo is actually by Steve McCurdy. This picture, some guitarist making trouble. Erikka Walsh is singing for everything she's worth. If I was a really legitimate talk show, I would have some B-roll or something like some footage I could show right now that. Please welcome to the show, Erikka Walsh.
Oh my good Lord. No one told me there was going to be first a superhero intro to the entire show.
No.
And then that.
No, I've been enjoying watching, the guests look up from, because I can see everyone in the green room even when they're not in the mix. So I see everyone's eyes go like this when the superhero intro starts.
Yeah.
It's like, I was like, well, I want to do a show. I want to have a fun show. I want to talk to my friends on Zoom, and I want to make it. So this is how we get superheroes. I was like, well, what can I do with this technology? And I started pressing buttons, and we had a theme song. Hi, Erikka.
The closest I'll get to She-Hulk.
Don't tempt them. Don't tempt them. They're trying all the superheroes right now.
Oh my Lord.
I actually think, all joking aside, I think there might be that in development. Right
Oh, there
now.
is.
There is, yeah, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, they were like, why can't we get an Alison Brie type? And then everybody was like, well, why don't you just get Alison Brie?
Which is very different than what people are saying. They got Colin Farrell in this massive amount of makeup for the Penguin in the new Batman trailer.
Yeah.
And they have spent so much money and so much time to make Colin Farrell look like Richard Kind. And so the question a lot of people are asking is, well, why did you just get Richard Kind to be the Penguin? Which
good question.
Is now a thing that I really want to have happen. How are you? How's everything going?
I'm good. I'm here.
Yeah.
Chilling.
I was just watching the clip that I didn't warn you I was going to show, but I know that you've approved that clip like in the past. So
yeah, it's been a while.
Well, I was looking at it. I was thinking that's about the happiest I've ever been with a haircut. Was the one I got the day before that show was taped, because I wanted to look nice for the multicam viewing. And since we're friends and we've been friends for a long time, I'm just going to say your hair is spectacalar in quarantine right now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I crawled out of quarantine for it, I'm not gonna lie. So for those who don't know me, that first picture with the cajon, my hair was definitely down to the middle of my back. And it had been my entire life. So there we go.
So, but what age do we consider like entire life? Like at what point did it reach that and it stayed that way? As far as length?
If I said 7, that would not be inaccurate, I think.
Is this?
I mean, like I've never, like as a kid, I would braid it and like just twirl it as Pippi Longstocking style my whole life. Like, yeah, it just grew and it stayed there.
This is big news for this show that we're breaking right now. This is the first time you've ever tried it this short since 7, and it rocks. So nice. Hey, so I wanted to talk. I know a lot of. I know you've done years and years and years of press junkets and appearances to talk about the version of Once that arrived on Broadway and won all the Tonys, and that you were extraordinary in every time I saw it, which was, I think I ended up seeing you about 850 times. But I'm interested in knowing about the journey to there, because obviously a lot of people watching this know about Savannah Rep, and they know that we want to be an incubator. They know we want to develop new work. When you first sort of got the call or came into the conversation with Once, where was it, and how did you watch it evolve from there forward?
Oh, how I came into the conversation was definitely through an educational backdoor. Yeah, no, I was. I feel like it's important to point out that if I was in New York as a non-union actor, I probably would not have been involved in the show. But I was not. I was at the ART Institute as a grad student. So it was funny. I had actually given up playing music because I didn't want to do it. It was either go study theater, go study music. And I was like, no, I'm going to study theater because I don't know what that's about. And I can just always do music for me. And that's fine. And so here I am in grad school, minding my business, trying really hard to do things right. And John Tiffany had a fellowship with the Radcliffe Institute, I believe. So he was working with my grad school class on his like vocal research. I can't remember what exactly he was researching, but he was there. And a producer from ART said, oh, why don't we workshop your show there? This is my understanding of it. It might have been a little different in reality, but this is kind of like the gist of what happened. So they got this group together. Like John had already had a workshop, I believe, in London with the show. So they got the rest of the team together. They cast it out of New York. They brought everybody up to Cambridge. And then they were like, oh, hey guys. They
had an idea.
Good timing from another actor musician, actually, who was in a non-union tour once. Yeah, they were like, hey, students, who plays an instrument? So I raised my hand so high that I dislocated my shoulder and worked my butt off on the workshop as a student. I don't recall if that was for free or not. I don't know what the contractual obligations around that were. Didn't care, doing it anyway. Yeah, so they had like a small little student ensemble, and we did 8 shows, I believe, 4 free to the public, like, because it was a workshop, but we had audience there to try it out. The cool thing is that we were, the space we were in, we flipped the audience. So the audience was where the stage normally was, and we used like the ground floor area and the bar area. And that's kind of how the bar of Once stayed from that very first like fully staged workshop, because there's a big mirror in the back and everybody ended up liking that. And so it grew from there. And yeah, so I worked my butt off. And like the last day, I just remember everybody coming up to me and being like, we know you worked your butt off. So please like try to like we hope that we get to see you again, kind of thing. And very lovely, supportive group of people. And then they went to go cast it out of New York Theater Workshop. And they had made a couple of structural changes to the company and in terms of casting. And I auditioned again remotely because I left grad school not knowing what to expect with my life. And I moved in with my now husband in Seattle. So I went from Boston to Washington. And that summer, auditioned again. That summer, got the job at New York Theater Workshop. So I was like in Washington for maybe all of 4 months. And then I was like, guess what? I'm moving back across the country. Sorry, bye. Yeah, and then got to work in New York Theater Workshop on that production. And we found out we were going to Broadway the day of opening. And then I called him up and I was like, so guess what? This might be a while. Do you want to move to the East Coast? So now we're here. So, and
I think that's a part of the story that I had heard in passing, and I think that I had forgotten, was that he was still in Seattle on the thinking that, you know, the workshop might close and you'd come back out and be a Seattle local actor again. That was the plan for until it was no longer the plan? Yeah, I mean, if we didn't think that Once was super special, that would have been the plan. But like, there was always this feeling of like, we're doing something really amazing here. So like, yes, in theory, the plan was the show would close and I would come back. But I think everybody was like, please let other people realize this is really special. Yeah. It was always there. So it was always kind of like, well, I think we immediately started thinking like, do we stay in Seattle? Do we not? Because the market that I wanted to work in was a New York market. I didn't know the Seattle market very well. So I was exploring it while I was there, but like, that's, you know, every time you move into a new community, you kind of start over as an actor. Especially like at the time I was EMC non-union. So that's like a different landscape than working at some of the higher tier union companies. So I was like, okay, well, I can do this for sure. Let's see what this is. Or I can go to New York, and I had not like I knew people in New York, but it's, you know, it's kind of like the theater world, like LA is the TV world. So right. And there are crossovers. It's like I know members of both communities would like for both of them to be more homogenous theater/film. And I know there's so much TV and film in New York, and there's so much theater in Los Angeles, but for whatever reason they hold very firm to sort of the expectations of like which one is on which coast. Even though there's a lot of great performers jumping. I think it's the last like 15 years that we've been seeing so many theater actors getting these huge arcs on TV because people are suddenly, you know, it's being written by playwrights, it's being produced by theatrical crossover producers. People are saying, oh, these people have been trained their entire lives to be incredibly convincing in scenes. Let's just use them because they're already very good at what they do. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting when you actually look at the resume of some of the people, even in small roles on TV. Like I was catching up on The Marvelous Miss Maisel, and a lot of these cameos with 1 or 2 lines are like Broadway stars. And like, you're just like, oh, wait a minute. So yeah, no, I think there's a lot more cross-pollination, if you will, between the film and TV world and the theater world. Acting is acting, and there are tricks to either medium, but good acting's good acting. And we need to be open to that. In terms of like the market for theater in LA, I mean, I think it's just, I think there are a lot of other factors other than just talent that go into producing theater in any place, as I'm sure that you are finding out in Georgia, right? Absolutely. Everything's a learning curve. And I think everything is, it's interesting to find out that there are similar challenges, but there are also similar rewards. Like the risk reward levels are the same wherever you go. Like we're discovering just, you know, Savannah has put on some really extraordinary productions because I'm the new kid on the block, and you know, they've got 4 seasons of really great stuff. And it's that sort of thing, like the only thing that's a little bit cheaper is the production level. Like as far as how much it costs to to raise the production level. The cost of living is a little lower, so the productions cost a little less, but it's like the reward is almost exactly the same, which is really fun. I want to separate your musicianship from your actor musicianship for a second, because you kind of led me into this when you said that I know it's the violin. Fans of yours know it's the violin. I know you as someone who is intimately involved with this instrument. What was the part of your life where you were done with it? How had you come to be trained in it? And then what was sort of the moment where you may have lost your thread on it?
Well, I had been trained through high school on violin specifically. And it was really just applying to colleges, going through the conservatory audition process for music, going through it for acting. I did half and half because I was like, I can't make up my mind what I want to study. And of course, everybody makes you feel like you could only study one thing, right?
That's completely
Especially coming
right.
straight out of high school. It's like, you got to study the one thing. Pick your major, right? And for conservatory training, for higher arts training, when you are privileged to do so, it's hard to understand the fluidity between different practices and really hone those skills. You can take time and you can do it all. So I had a breakdown. Jesus Christ. Anybody who knew me at that time, it was rough. I was having major identity crisis of like, do I identify as a musician or an actor? And that sounds ridiculous now, but that's what it was. And I went through the conservatory audition process and I was like, oh, this music world is not one I want to be a part of. Because I was when you're looking at it being a professional musician at the time when I was doing so, and the resources available to me, it looked like I was looking at just playing in an orchestra, maybe playing in a quartet, having it be uber competitive for the next 4 years of training regardless. And that level of anxiety just like blew my mind. And I was like, no, backing away. I didn't have exposure to a lot of different types of music. I didn't have a lot of exposure to a lot of different types of groups that I could be a part of within that. It was very much classical music world. And I was like, no, this is not it. There is more out there. And I knew that my experiences with theater, even if that didn't work out, would have made me a better musician. Just as my experiences as a musician ended up making me a better actor at times, outside of just the job description of actor musician.
And as far as the instrument that you have chosen as your primary, the one that you are most well known for as an actor musician, being the violin, we first bonded many years ago on talking about Striking 12, which is a very early actor musician show. And there's a great line about the violin being able to move through the crowd like a bird. And in the original staging of Striking 12, she's got the wireless on her violin, she's got the electric violin, and she's on top of tables, she's around the corner, she's moving.
Oh yeah.
Because you have chosen this very sort of melodically related instrument, an instrument that does trills and melodies and leads rather than being sort of like a punctuation like the drums or the bass. Do you have specific ways that you begin to think about incorporating the violin into your actor musicianship? Like, do you have a language for it, or do you really sort of take each situation as it comes?
Oh, absolutely as it comes. I mean, literally everything I do, I'm like, what do you need me to do? Okay, great. Let me figure it out. That's how I ended up playing other instruments, because I was like, yeah, I can do that. Sure. And depending on the role, you figure it out. Being an actual musician in it is a totally different story. But being an actor musician in it is a skill set that you learn for a song, potentially. But yeah, it's interesting to me, like learning how to play like bass and guitar opens up what you can do musically on a violin. And because I didn't have the music training per se,
right,
they weren't as obvious. I know other musicians who are violinists or fiddle players. Excuse me, my cat is making her presence known.
Last week we had Michael Server as his dog. This week we have your cat, who's probably not going to make an appearance.
Yeah, Chewbacca's having a tour of the facilities.
Okay, great. Checking for redundancies.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry, distractions.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, like there are other musicians who have more fluidity with dealing with just honestly basic chord structures and rhythms that aren't prevalent in the classical music world, and how to integrate that into performance. But my approach to actor musicianship is probably counterintuitive to everyone else's, just because it's solely based on my experience and how I function learning. So my take on actor musicianship is like, you can do that, great. You can do that, great. Now do it together, You can't do them? Get better at one or the other one, then just put them together. Like, it's not like a situation. It's just, well, just do it. Be better. And if you can't do it, figure out the next closest thing that you can do and do that as well as you can. It sounds super slapdash, but it's kind of ultimately very simple.
It makes perfect sense to me.
Just be better.
Right. Just
like choreographing wands.
Right.
Like, you deal with a lot of different issues that for guitars and violins, right? The changes of gravity for bow placement and tone are different than picks and strumming. Mm-hmm. So like, if you're going to the side, is there one side that's easier? Can you go to the side you're being asked to go to? Or are you not able to because you haven't done it enough yet? Or are you not able to because you are literally going to separate the bow into, and it's not going to actually sound. Also, if you can, and God bless this woman, there's a woman on America's Got Talent, I believe, who was an opera singer, a violinist, and an aerial silk performer. And she did all three at the same time. So every time I think I can't do something, I remember that she played like Flight of the Bumblebee and sang Carmen while on silks, and think, great, I might not be able to do this right now. Can I get there? Or do I need to intrinsically change something to allot for the amount of time I have in this rehearsal process? You know, like, you always want to say yes but you also want to remain realistic. So it's very,
I mean, obviously, the next time that we work together, I'm going to be asking you to learn silks and Flight of the Bumblebee.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't have that. I mean, I'm flexible. I don't have that kind of flexibility.
I'm always astonished. I was one of those people, I did this maybe 7 or 8 years ago. I was one of those people that was like, oh, the silks, like, they're so much fun. I'm limber. I have arm strength. I can do this. I remember I went to Streb in Brooklyn, and of course the Streb Theater Company is this, incredible company of, I mean, they throw themselves from these heights. And it's like when I was learning about it, they said, one of the Streb founders was like, well, the core tenet of our movement philosophy is the hurl. It's that concept of, like, they've learned how to not hurt themselves when they jump 10, 15, 20 feet. So I say all this because when I walked into Streb, people were literally dropping from, they were dropping from all these heights. And then they put me on one of those, and I got like 2 feet up and I flipped upside down, and I was like a trussed Thanksgiving turkey. That's no joke. And now I already had a healthy respect for Cirque du Soleil, but now when I watch it, it's just like jaw to the floor, because I'm like, what they're doing just doesn't even physically make sense to me. I don't have any of the words in that language,
Oh yeah, but they've also been doing it more than likely their whole lives. So like,
that's true,
of course you don't have the language, and of course they know how to do it. I mean, people who come to it later, sure, that's hours and hours of work. You know that.
Right. And yes, and I don't want to say that my body is aging, except for the fact that my knees hurt every morning now. So it's like,
we're also sitting around exponentially more than we usually do. So they're getting worked out the same.
I have the luxury of city bike. Y'all are in Jersey. I just gave away what state you're quarantining in, but do you have a bike? Do you have an outdoor solution for right now?
I don't have a bike. I mean, like, Jersey is not New York, so there is more space for me to leave the apartment.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah.
There's more like if I go on a walk right now, I'll probably see a total of maybe now it's a little bit more because there are 2 outdoor venues that I walk by, 2 outdoor restaurants, but like generally on the entire 3-mile walk, I'll see maybe 10 people the whole time. So like, getting across the street's a lot easier. Dealing with people who don't have masks on around me a lot easier, because I get PSA from my brain.
Do it. Let's have it.
Sure. You can go outside and not wear a mask and socially distance and be fine. Theoretically, that is the guidelines. But if you're in a situation where you can't get across the street and you might come into contact with people who, like, you should probably be wearing a mask just as a precaution. Just because you're outside and there's open air doesn't mean that things don't fly through that air. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to come into proximity to somebody on a sidewalk at any point in time. You never know who that person is and what their background is. So it's a courtesy and rant.
Yes, I'm glad to have given you a platform to say that, because I feel like that was said so clear. I feel like sometimes when I encounter someone on the street that I want to have that sort of that I want to say that clearly to, it always comes out as like, ah! Like, I can't. It's created this weird social situation where in the moments that you want to have like a social like conversation, like a polite social conversation, your body, you freak out and you run the other way. Like, Kelsey was saying the other day that I can't remember where she had heard it, but it's just this idea that a psychiatrist had said that we're all going to be coming out of this socially awkward. Like those of us that were already introverted or socially awkward are like, oh, we're the kings of the world now. And those that had spent years building up their tolerance for it, we're all kind of going back a couple of steps. I'm hoping that some of that is that we're going to be much more open and polite with one another when this is over, because we realize that we'll have gone through this collective trauma.
Yeah, but we're all still dealing with it differently, and that collective trauma is as collective as some of it is very individual and in some ways. So how we come out will be interesting, but I think that the basic humane guidelines medically is just just be vigilant, be courteous, err on the side of being courteous, and think more of others than yourself to start. Because I think also being closer to Metropolis, I understand more that the situation isn't over. Because you feel fine in your immediate area may be fine, it doesn't mean that there isn't travel happening and people aren't coming into your community. So it's hard to say everything's over when other places are having flare-ups, and it's a disservice to your community to think that the flare-up is happening and it cannot affect you, because look how the entire thing has affected the entire globe so quickly.
Right.
If it's happening in any one place, that means everyone is still exposed. It doesn't go away just because it's across the country.
Right. Because it's headed back towards you. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was across the world when it started. So.
Right.
Anyways, sorry.
To that end, that's actually a great. I've already held you more than I meant to. Is that okay? Do you have another minute for us?
I still don't recognize myself when I see it. So forgive the extra thing. It's still so new.
It's great. I mean, it is great. I strongly co-sign this. The question. So to that end, you have been faced with this, as we all have. You have chosen. I was so delighted when you said that you were pursuing equity candidacy, because it's such an important thing that a lot of our audience might not know about. Do you mind? I know I'm not asking you to explain your platform or run for us here, but I would love to know what it is and why you chose to do it.
Yeah. So basically, what's happening within the Actors Equity right now is that we're gearing up for a national convention. It's the first time we've ever done one. There will be 2 of them, and we need delegates for those 2 conventions over the next 2 years. So we have a delegate election happening right now. For all of you union members out there, the last day to vote is September 9th at 5 p.m. Everything's digital. So yeah, every region is electing their delegates under principal, chorus, and stage manager categories. So I'm running in the principal category. And yeah, it's the delegate position is really kind of just like a marker to say that you are representing the area. It's different than counselor. It's different than president. It's still being developed what particularly our responsibilities are on paper. But my understanding of it and the way I'm approaching it is just a liaison between membership that has not had success reaching channels of equity and being a representative for those people. Because I know actor musicians generally don't have a lot of language and representation on the staff of equity. So one of the things I want to make sure that I'm always there for the actor musicians, because there is literally no one. So you'll get one, and there are other people who are running, but who are also actor musicians, and there are other people in council who are actor musicians, but we need some basic things for us. So there's that. And also making sure I acknowledge there are other people within the region and still do a good job for them too. But it was spawned from a need to try to start a committee for equity. And they were like, oh, run for delegate. And I was like, all right.
I love it.
Do the work anyway, might as well just, slap a title on it, whatever.
And that's the thing too, is I don't think a lot of people know, I was guilty of this, that for a while I thought it was the first one in a while. I had no idea that we had never done these. And a lot of that is because the industry is having to respond to COVID. I mean, that's one of the things is we're a lot of rebooting is happening that I don't think anyone had predicted. So we're having these. Were these already planned before? Yes. Okay, that's something I didn't know. Please.
We actually voted on this last year to have a convention, and really the goal of them is to make our national network stronger to actually engage liaison areas such as Savannah into the actual national conversation of AEA. There were people who are like in Shadowlands where they didn't fall under the jurisdiction of any one office city, and our office cities are New York, Chicago, and LA. So if you're not in one of those areas, what do you do? How are you represented? Who do you go to? So we opened up a liaison committees in all of the areas, and now this is how to bring all of those people in. So the Eastern region is like the largest one. It goes all the way from Florida over to Tennessee and up through Canada. So it's not like I'm just running for New York. It's like I got to remember everybody who I worked on that contract in Florida with. I got to remember everybody I worked on that contract in God, where did I work? Pennsylvania. Jesus, it's like Arkansas, but Arkansas is central, so
yes.
No. But still, you know, it's making sure everybody's part of the conversation on a more equitable venue.
I'm so glad that you are on. You were, when I decided to do this show, you were one of the people I wanted to talk to. Because I think it was just you and I share a lot of instincts, and we are in a band together, full disclosure, called Bonfire Falls, which I adore, and we're actually Bonfire's coming out of the woodwork to do a Save the Bitter End show later this month. I mean, all socially distanced. It's all going to be pre-recorded. In fact, Steven's got us figuring out how to use a cappella to put our songs together. So we're not technically coming back together, but if we can save one place in New York in this month, I would love for it to be the Bitter End, because they took us in right at the beginning and they gave us a residency when people were still like, who is this band? Why are they making theatrical rock? What's going on with these people? So I'm looking forward to doing that with you. But also, I knew that we were both going to have strong responses to COVID. You are running for a national responsibility with equity. I took over the artistic directorship of a company that is going to be under your jurisdiction when I believe you are going to be elected. So I'm glad that we've made these strong choices, and I'm glad we're able to come together on a platform like this to talk about them.
Yeah.
So all of that, there was no questions except basically to say thank you, Erikka.
Thank you, Ryan.
We will be joined by Mr. Lyons in about 2 weeks to promote the Bonfire Falls show. He's probably going to do the Christopher Walken. I may see if you're around and can pop back in to say hello with your fabulous hair for us. In the meantime, Erikka Walsh, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
That was Erikka Walsh. If y'all don't know, I think she's just the cat's me out. She's the bee's knees. Hey, so here's what's going on. When I do this show, we get into sort of this, we're in the StreamYard, we're doing the show. If I don't see a guest's camera show up, I assume they're not there. It could be technical. It could be schedule. Someone could be in a car. We don't know. However, my second guest was not present, but my third guest is. So after we come back from this commercial break for a product that is not one of our sponsors, we will be joined by our third guest. See you in just a minute.
Super golden crisp. Rocks in the box, rolls in the bowl, and the taste is solid gold.
All those golden parts are weak. Got a crunch that's crisp and bold. Gets me moving and grooving. With a taste that's solid gold.
Post Super Golden Crisp cereal, part of this nutritious breakfast with a taste that's solid gold.
And we're back! So I don't know where CK Allen is, but he's great, and he'll be here at some point. I am so excited to go straight to my next guest, though. I have pictures of this crazy group of people. Front Porch Improv is one of Savannah's premier improv companies. They look like this sometimes. They're so fabulous. I like them. I like this picture. I like these matching shirts. I'm going to ask how these shirts came to be. I hope this is the picture of them, because if it's not, I'm going to feel really embarrassed. I also have found their logo, which I'm so excited about this, comes over my face like this, and I can put my eyes through the O and the N. So every time we say the name of this company, Front Porch Improv, during the next course of this interview, I'm going to try to put the logo over my face. Please welcome to the show, Brianne Halverson, everybody.
Hello! Hi! Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Of course my dogs start barking as soon as I get on.
It's because I was shouting, and I'm very sorry.
Both of those photos were from Porch Improv photos, so well done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
you are a co-founder and a what is the right term?
I'm a performer. I do everything that needs to be done that no one else wants to do. You know, that person.
Oh, you mean like the artistic director? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The bitch of the group. Yeah. Whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
A lot of folks. I'm gonna be someone that doesn't know your journey because I'm like I was telling Erikka, I'm the new kid to the block. I was in Savannah 15 years ago. I'm coming back for the first time in a while. How'd you find Savannah? How did it come to be? Where was the first time that you that any group of you sat down and said, we're gonna have a thing, it's gonna be called Front
Sure.
Hold on, I'm gonna say the name. Front Porch Improv. There it is. Okay.
Porch Improv. That's like an improv game, by the way. I mean, a part of me wants to just say it repeatedly, but I won't be that person. I moved to Savannah. I used to work at SCAD, and I knew the improv. There's an improv professor there named David Stork, and I knew him from my New York City days, and we had improvised together for years. I came and I started, subbing in at SCAD occasionally. And so we started meeting up and kind of just playing around, and we got more and more serious about it. So that's cool.
And where does the name come from?
What was the name? Well, the name.
What is the name of the company?
So we are called Front Porch Improv.
Thank you.
And we were originally going to call ourselves Sick Savannah Improv Company, but we called one of our shows Front Porch, and then everyone started calling us Front Porch, and so therefore we had to call ourselves Front Porch. Yeah. Exciting, right?
Does that? I'm going to be completely honest. I had, with no disrespect intended, I had created a reading series here in New York called Front Porch Readings, and it has now since merged with Bespoke Plays, and we got rid of the Front Porch, mostly because y'all were already doing such amazing stuff with the name. I was like, they deserve the name. They're kicking butt and taking names. I would love that. Can I please be Riff?
Yes, absolutely. No, our name is, we're not territorial about the name either. It's not like a lot of people have front porches. They also have back porches, front porches.
Yes.
I said it one more time.
I pressed the wrong button that time, and I almost ended the broadcast, so I probably should stop playing the game.
Yeah, no. We're pretty open. So anyone who wants to use a name, feel free. We don't care.
Great. But what you've done with the name is pretty extraordinary. You've won a lot of awards. I say congratulations for that. You've won some awards. You also you had a successful Kickstarter. You opened a building, and not to be dour, but you got a building open just before all of this insanity. What was the journey to where had you been before? How did you get into the building, and then what has happened now?
Yeah, we were nomadic for maybe almost 2 years, and we kept going wherever we could find a space, and we plug in a stage and put up the lights, and a lot of our time and energy was spent on just physically moving around. And at one point we're like, enough is enough. Let's get a building. We met this incredible woman who had been coming to our shows, who had some property, and she was looking for a tenant, and she gave us a really good, decent rent, which was incredible of her. Her name is Ashley, and she used to have a yoga studio next door. Anyway, so we did a Kickstarter. We all together raised maybe almost $50,000, which is incredible. And we feel so grateful for that. And then we opened, I think it's 16 days before we shut down for COVID. So we had 16 glorious days.
Wait, I knew it was close, but it was literally March 1st, it was right around there?
We opened February 29th, which is a Saturday night, was a leap year. So yeah. And we stopped. We were probably one of the first groups to close. I think the last show we did was March 12th. So I don't think we even had a full 16. I like to say that because that's when the city shut down, but we're pretty conscientious. So we shut down early. We're like, whoa. And we thought it was going to be, 2-3 weeks. Yeah. I'm sure you too.
Oh yeah. Well, because we had, we had cast Light in the Piazza, and we had it on hold, and we kept sending these very optimistic emails, well, we're going to delay it another 2 weeks. We kept making sure the whole cast could move. And so it was that moment. I was like, Jen was like, we really have to push the button and just say, this thing is not happening.
Yeah.
And I think as artists, we get into so much of what we do is a struggle all the time that I think we get in this mindset, no matter what, show must go on. So it was really weird to just have to send an email that said, no, it's actually not at this moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
absolutely.
did y'all start with the first time that I think I ever heard of the company producing? It was for some of your members were on trolleys, and it was a very. Can you remind folks that may not have ever seen it what that was?
Remind people / let them know for the first time, which is we wrote a sketch show called A Complete History of Savannah for Morons. And it was just a play, like a fun play that went through chronicled the history of Savannah in 62 minutes. And it was really fun. We were basically like poking fun at Savannah's history and mostly poking fun at ourselves, which was a blast. We loved it. The show sold out every night, and we had a trolley. One of the shows, someone came up and said, I work for a trolley company. Can I put you on a trolley? And we're like, oh, but we're improvisers. We say yes. So we were like, let's try it. And we had a blast. It really made people happy. The nice thing is we could always change the show. They were incredible. It's called Kelly Grayline.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, they have never once given us a single note about the content of the show, which is really fun. And so we just do what we want to do. Not to brag, but it totally took off. We have 1 billion reviews and they're also positive. We're like, whoa, improv sucks. Trolleys are where it's at. But no, it's just been a lot of fun. So that's that was an arm. And I think in general, we don't just see ourselves. We are an improv theater for sure, but we're content creators and not in a cheesy way. We just like making stuff with people we like. So if that turns out to be something some of us are writing a musical right now. We're filming a sketch, a short later in the month. We started doing game shows online. We just want to make stuff and have fun and collaborate. So that's kind of the name of the game.
I love it. Have you poked into the corporate world at all? The sort of lucrative, the idea of improv as training or as education?
Absolutely. So I used to work at SCAD. Before I was at SCAD, I was in New York City and I did a lot of corporate training. And so that had been my background. I was a corporate person. My background is in book publishing. And so I just
corporate before improv, improv's always been part of your life, or did you come to the improv through
my life since 2001?
Okay.
So a long time, but I was in corporate. I was executive director of HarperCollins, PR and marketing. And then I was the executive director of SCAD. And so I've just been in the corporate world. So I felt really comfortable. I started doing trainings for improv training on the corporate level in New York City way back when. When I moved to Savannah, I stopped for a while. And then people kind of just started, we started getting solicited, which was nice. I want to be wanted. And so
Don't we all?
Yeah, I know, right? It doesn't happen often. I'm married. So we started doing it, and I love the corporate training because I think it's really fun. It sounds, as cheesy as it is, practicing saying yes, practicing being positive, practicing listening, practice being engaged, even just how do you present yourself to your fellow coworkers? Are you giving them energy or are you sucking energy? Practicing that. Those are all skills, really soft skills that people overlook, but they are instrumental in keeping a team happy together, working together, appreciating each other, especially the positivity. A lot of teams, we're tired, we're working hard, especially during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
We've been actually doing more training than we ever have because people want team building. They're like, everyone's tired and cranky and depressed. Can you help us? And we're, we can't do everything, but we try and we have a lot of fun.
I think the willingness, not just saying yes and on stage, but doing it as a company is something that seems to really be paying off. I know that was something that Odd Lot has also had enjoyed and had success with, is the idea that it's when they started doing the shorts and when they started doing the film competitions and the murder mysteries. I feel like that is that sort of. Now, I grew up in Marietta, and then I went to SCAD in 2002. So when we had long weekends, we'd go up to Atlanta, go to Dad's garage, and see a whole weekend of shows. And when a city has enough sort of when a city has a large enough and population, you can afford to have a troupe that's just doing heralds, or you can have a troupe that is just doing the Who's Line sensibilities because someone else is going to pick up the slack. So it has been so energizing to see the way that you and Odd Lot and all of these creators are what are the skills that we have? What can we do with them instead of saying we do heralds twice a week? You can't make us do anything else.
Yeah. Well, I think that is the improv way. If you're saying yes and on stage and then off stage saying no but, right. It is a wash. The great thing about it, we always say, Odd Lot, we're good friends with Odd Lot and we love what they do. just like in a city, you wouldn't just have one band.
No.
Like music is very different. Improv is very different. It's a newer art form. It really came to like be in the 80s and the 90s. But, 20, 30 years from now, that would be laughable to have only one kind of improv and only kind of one kind of show. So I definitely think that's true. I would love for more improv. I go to Dad's Garage. Some of the people come here a lot actually.
Oh, great.
And so they do shows with us. We go there. If we're in Atlanta, they let us guest, which is so nice. We have good relationships there. And that spirit in improv, if we have people in from LA, they'll just contact and be like, hey, you don't know me, but we have this connection. Can I come on stage? And of course, join in for, 20, 30 minutes, half the show. Let's see, collaborate. And it's been so much fun. That's ingrained in the improv spirit for sure.
And you've also, you've got something called Trauma Drama. And I'm
excited for you to bring it up.
I'm super interested in it. I would like to hear more. Tell me more.
So Trauma Drama really stemmed out of, I've been working with a woman, her name is Vera, and she works at Safety Net, which is like a Chatham County. And they do a lot of different kinds of programming. They do prevent suicide work. They do mindful self-compassion work. Basically, how do we arm people in our community to treat themselves with kindness and to and just kind of access to different kinds of programming and just awareness about mental health. So we've been working together, and I was doing a workshop I got COVID right away, early on, and so I volunteered to help with some of the kids for first responders because they still had to go to work. People in the hospitals, and they didn't know where to put their kids because they're supposed to be homeschooling them.
Right.
So John and I, we both got COVID. We went and started doing theater games with them to kind of keep them going, and like those kids were going nuts. And it was really hard. I have to say, it was like 5-year-olds to 14-year-olds. So you can imagine.
Oh.
Woo! And it was a big gymnasium. They could barely hear us. It was really fun though. They were great. And so we were kind of figuring out, and we were doing emotional wheel. So it's like, okay, how do you feel? What does your body look like when you're a little bit sad? And I would raise my hand, and you would show your emotion more. At a 10, what does your body look like? How do you express that? And I would kind of, just play with that. We were kind of doing the nuances. And she came up and said, oh my goodness, I've been reading about this, about using theater as therapy and letting people role play, students and adolescents role play different situations. Whether they've experienced that trauma or whether they may experience that trauma. And trauma could mean anything from bullying, sexual orientation, abandonment, drug abuse, all these different kinds of things. And they've done a lot of research. It's been going on for 15, 20 years in Boston. And they've done a bunch of research about how this kind of training really can help students. They've seen really great results. And so we started talking with the director there and just kind of picking his brain. And so he is going to be doing training for us at the end of September as part of Mental Health Awareness Symposium in Savannah. And if it goes well, we want to do more of it and train our own troupe. So we would go into the schools, we would work with kids over a 6-month period, once a week, twice a week. They would meet with us. They would get to write plays. They would get to improvise with us all around these kind of serious topics, lending some levity, but also just giving them a safe space to have ownership over these topics. I don't know if I explained that well, but that's basically Trauma Drama.
You explained that beautifully.
Oh, okay, good.
You also it's a wonderful concept. It's something without going too much in detail. It's something I would have loved to have had 20 years ago. It's something, something that it has only recently existed. There was on the very first episode of OnStageOff, as if we've been doing this for years, 3 weeks ago when we had our first episode, Jen and I were talking about the importance of children's theater, good children's theater to the mental health of students that can be at risk or students that are having difficult moments in their adolescence, and it really is the idea that the psychiatry is finally linking up with the arts, and that they are forming these concepts that do solve difficult situations. I think it's beautiful. I'm glad it's coming to Savannah. And I saw a picture. Did you have you been in the the new cultural affairs space? Is that with this program, or is it with something else that you've been there?
Well, I just had that photo because right now it's a weird time to take photography with people. So I just had that photo. we do shows, free shows at the Cultural Arts Center for people who don't have access to theater. So that was like one of those days. So we were, before COVID, we were trying to do that 4 times a year. 4 times a year we do free shows for the community. And that was one of it. So we get the kids on stage and we get them acting like animals or acting, different things, play some music. It's a lot of fun. We also did summer camp stuff for them. And yeah, so in general, we're definitely trying to feel our way through it. So I love this. If you can spread the word, for drama, we need therapists, which we have access to through SafeNet.
I'm going to write this down.
Oh yeah, please.
Okay.
And so we need therapists, but we also need actors and teachers to make our troupe. And we're really looking for 20 people. We kind of want, 7 actors, 7 therapists, 7 teachers-ish. And we're going to go into the schools and start doing this program in 2021. So if you know of people who might fit in any of those categories who are interested, they can either contact me. Probably the best way is to contact me at porchimprov.com, Facebook, Instagram, any of the ways I get the emails. And so we would love to have people involved, because the truth is it's pretty intense. It's going to be fantastic. There's a little bit of there's a stipend because we believe in paying our actors, but it really, you need to have the love of wanting to use theater as like a form of therapy or as a part of the therapeutic kind of experience.
That's fantastic. I have some personal people that I would love to recommend.
Yeah,
I think
please,
other people that see this show, we'll send. So you say the best way to get a hold of you is to message to the Facebook or to send to what's
Facebook, or comedy@frontporchimprov.com. That's my email address. I'll chat it to you. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Right. I'm going to chat it to you if you don't mind sharing it for it.
Oh yeah, actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have it start. I'm gonna have it start spinning along the bottom of the.
Spin it, baby.
Can you tell the people something interesting about something real quick while I put it down below your name?
Absolutely.
Okay, there.
Well, I've got a lot of interesting things to tell you. The first thing being this plant. I moved to Savannah 8 years ago, and I had no plans to do an improv theater, but it just happened. Before I moved to Savannah, I have been doing improv for 15 years. I think I'm at almost year 20 of improv. Isn't that gross?
When anything in your life reaches its third decade, it's a hard moment. It's a hard moment. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
Yes.
I retire early.
what's really creepy is the setup here. So I have it streaming to I'm on my partner's laptop for the show. My laptop is streaming it to Facebook so I can make sure the signal's still in. It's got like a 20-second delay. As you had stopped doing the plant, you were holding the plant up over here. And for some reason, when it's 2 talking heads, I never see the delay. But you suddenly having the plant here made me go into an existential crisis. Okay, because it felt like that show was seeing the plant, and I was like, how is she doing this? I'm scrolling your email address below.
I see it. I'm probably going to get a lot of like Russian bots or whatever it may be, and I welcome them too.
Yeah.
But seriously, if this interests you at all, I'll send you the information. The first online training is happening later at the very end of September. So we'd love to connect earlier and get you all that info.
Great. Can I ask you one more question?
Yeah, please.
You are, first of all, let's look at a picture of C.K. Allen, who didn't join us today, but we're going to look at a picture of him. Here he is.
I would love to. There he is.
Oh, C.K. He looks so sad. Or serious. Or serious and sad.
If we looked at the emotion wheel, I would say that he was, okay. He definitely looks resolute is what I would use, yeah.
He is, I will, for those that don't know, this is him. This is not just what he sent me as like his background shot. That is him in a national commercial. One would assume that underneath the mask of the acting, he's probably really jazzed about the sweet, sweet payday he's about to get. Yes. Oh, CK. Anyway, many people had said that you are genuinely and fully enthusiastic about the things you do. I am learning. We've never spoken more than 5 words together. In fact, have we ever met?
Well, I'm a member of your company. So I signed up for, year-long membership, whatever it's called.
Yes, you did. And thank you.
I saw you. Yeah. I saw you in the, what's it called? The diner one.
Oh, Pump Boys and Dinettes.
Yeah. I saw you. And that was very interactive with the audience. So even though we did not meet, I experienced your character firsthand.
Yes, that was a weird moment because Jim, who played, not only was one of the creators, but played my track on Broadway, was the original Jim.
Sure.
It was really odd when he was there And I was doing what was distinctly like improv beats that Nick Corley and I discussed, the director
Sure.
and I discussed we could do. But it was like these like wanting to check in out of the corner of my eye, like, does Jim like this? And if you can name a character of the musical theater canon after yourself, I feel like that's really like one of the highlights that you could have in a career. Is like he played a person on Broadway, and they're like, well, what do you want to name the character? He's like, I think Jim's a great name. And 30 years later, Jim is a character on Broadway.
So, I have a fun story.
Tell me.
I have a fun story, and then I worked when I was in publishing. I worked with Eric Bogosian. And he obviously is a very famous playwright, but also a novelist. And he was doing a new show at the Public. And he asked if he could name a character after me. And I was, do you know Eric's work?
Yes, fantastic.
Yeah.
He's a genius, yes.
He's a genius. So I was so flattered. I was like, oh my gosh, yes, please name a character after me. So his editor and I are good friends, and it started to open. And so we went to see the show at the Public. And the character that he had named after me was the trampiest idiot I have ever seen on stage. I was mortified. This is, 15 years ago, but it just was so embarrassing. I can't even remember what show it was. It never went anywhere, to be honest.
It's because of that. That is literally the reason.
But anyway, so I was like, at the time I was so excited and like, I wore my cute dress and I was ready to like claim it. And then at the end I was like, I'm not even going for drinks afterwards. Obviously he thinks I'm a twit. And this character is, an embarrassment to the theater.
That reminds me, there's a character in the Book of Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. Obviously, these huge personalities, these huge like egos and talents, and Brent's just chasing them around, writing it all down. And there's like this one scene where what's his face that Jim Williams kills, Danny Hansford. Danny Hansford, is that right? Yeah. So anyway, at one point he goes to one of the cemeteries and has like a night of passion with a SCAD student. It specifically says it in the book. And so when I first moved to Savannah, I was meeting Lady Chablis, and I was meeting all these people that were like very Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. And I met this woman. She's like, oh, I'm also in the book. And I'm like, okay, who are you? She's like, oh, I'm the SCAD student. And I was like, oh. And I didn't know what to say because it's like I didn't like, her name's not in the book. And I was like, I don't. But that's the same sort of thing. No one has ever. I have been in my things that I have said have been in plays before, but thankfully they've never had my name attached because I always think it's going to be the best thing in the world until I watch the play and I'm like, if that had been my name, if people had known I'd say that, I would feel ridiculous.
It's hard to make good art. Our taste level is much higher than our skill level sometimes. That makes a lot of sense.
You need to go. I've already held you much longer than I told you I was going to, but you told me about everything.
Yeah. I got nothing else to say. This is my life. I just put it on a platter for you, boy.
Are you, do you play piano? Does your husband play piano? Who plays piano? You put it in the shot like you were like real fancy, and I want to know who plays piano.
I play the piano not for company because I'm not good enough. I mean, I play chords. I play a little bit in my right hand, and I sing along. I think I play the ukulele. I was a music major in college.
Excellent.
Yeah.
When did the dream change?
In college.
Oh, so that's the moment.
I went to a conservatory program at Ithaca College, and they have a really beautiful music conservatory. And I knew. And so then I went into book publishing. I love literature, so that was really nice. And I don't know that I like theater. I love the collaborative aspect to it, and music when done right is so that. But when I was playing in like orchestras, and it just like was so cutthroat because the spaces were so limited, it didn't feel like people were like celebrating each other. It felt horrible.
It often can. Erikka, I don't know when you jumped on. I don't know if Erikka had already told the story. She was saying so we started without CK to break these two stories up. We've had quite a point A to point B to point A story in our show today.
Yeah.
What are those called in the improv world? They are called callbacks.
Callbacks, yeah.
Well, I did not mean to, but we did do a callback when we were talking about Front Porch Improv.
We start every rehearsal by looking each other in the eye and telling each other that you're a genius. So you're a genius. Well done.
Thank you. I don't know that anyone's ever said that. Thank you so much. Brianne Halverson, it's been a treat to have you here today.
It's a pleasure. I love what you're doing. I can't wait to see your next season whenever that is. I will be.
We can't either.
Yeah, I'll be third row in. It's usually like my spot.
Perfect. I will be looking for you. Thank you for joining us today. And comedy at frontporchimprov.com. Looking to
see. We're online. We're doing all the stuff. Come see us.
Awesome. Thanks again. We'll talk to you soon.
Nice to meet you. Bye.
Bye. I am not her, so I'll take her name off and put my name on. Brianne Halverson, everyone, who both Brianne and Erikka just were on for much longer than they thought they were going to be. My apologies to CK Allen that we lost him, but we'll show a picture of him. There he is. Maybe we'll have him on soon. I think he's an absolute spectacular delight, so hopefully we'll have him soon. Somehow we've managed to have an hour-long show because my guests are the best in the world. Let me tell you what's coming up next week, and if the law of averages is to exist, then as I'm signing off, I will see CK's video come up in the green room. Next week, super excited. Look at this lineup. From Star Trek Discovery, Mary Chieffo is going to be on the show next week. We have Tony Award-winning director Rachel Chavkin on the show next week, and a former directing fellow at Roundabout, works at the Lark, works with the Civilians, works with an incredible number of people. Kathleen Capdesiniere is going to be on next week. Looking forward to that. Thank you for your support of the theater. Thank you for your support of the arts in Savannah. Wherever you're watching us from, I'm so grateful to spend Fridays with you. I did the hair. I put on the shirt. We're going to show you the outro video and say goodbye. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you next week.
The Ghost Light, a single bulb left center stage after each performance, has traditionally served as a supernatural offering to those who came before us and those we have lost, to ensure that the theater, their theater, never goes dark.
That the magic of theater continues. Theaters from Broadway to the West End, Los Angeles to Savannah may be closed for now, but their ghost lights remain lit.
Our spirits remain hungry. Our responsibilities clear. We look at this as an opportunity, a chance to build on the work we've done.
A chance to embrace our theatrical roots and create new adventures.
What we do now paves the way for the years to come, for the Savannah rep of the future.
We promise that the ghost light will burn brightly until it is safe to begin again.
It is our responsibility to carry on the traditions that precede us. We are Savannah Rep.
A home for great stories and great theater. The hands of the clock will move again, and this is not the end of the story.
It's a new beginning.
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 And we'll see you soon.